Last week on the Poisonrana Patreon, we were joined by Emmy Award-winning producer and host of the Ruthless Aggression podcast over at the Barber's Chair Network, Pierce Roberson, to talk all about John Cena's third reign as WWE Champion in a brand new episode of The Champ Is Here. Vince McMahon comes out and, oh boy, like, you need to catch me up on this because he's talking about Donald Trump. He's talking about Rosie O'Donnell. So there's this Rosie O'Donnell, Donald Trump feud going on.
Yeah,
that was real. That was a shoot, brother.
So there was beef between Rosie and Donald at the time. Rosie was on The View, and Donald was doing The Apprentice. And I'm blanking on the exact way that it started, but it was, you know, what you think. One person was being extremely misogynistic and possibly, you know, gay bashing towards
Rosie O'Donnell was, right?
Yeah, it was absolutely Rosie O'Donnell. And then the other person was just treating that person like a megalomaniac, and, you know, barbs get traded back and forth. And here we are all these years later where I don't know what Rosie O'Donnell is doing, but God.
She's still talking about Trump. I know that. But I mean, a lot of people are. His rogues gallery got a lot bigger since 2007.
Get this show plus NXT retro reviews, wrestling reviews, movie reviews, and so much more over at patreon.com/poisonrana, and it's only $5. So what are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
First time in a long time, but back like I never left. Taking each day as it comes, you know me, I don't read ahead. Watch me burn down everything, BDE on the TV set. When I'm in control on the road, you could never really know what's up next.
Hello.
Hello.
Braden Herrington here with Davie Portman for postwrestling.com, and this is Up Next. You found us whatever podcast app you're using right now, but it's Tuesday, it's 10:05 p.m., which means, Davie,
we are live on youtube.com/postwrestling. Hello, postmarks, how are we doing?
Hello, all the postmarks out there in the universe, in the world. Hello, NXT friends. We'll always be your NXT friends. We had a bit of a weird Wednesday night last week where we weren't here on Tuesday, and I bet a lot of you were wondering, hey, isn't it weird? You people who watch NXT live and then maybe join us in the chat after, it's like, oh, what do we do with a Tuesday? What do I go see a movie because it's movie cheap night? Like what do I possibly do with my life if I don't watch NXT on a Tuesday
there wasn't
night?
anything else going on last Tuesday at all.
No, not really. Yeah. No. But we're live here every Tuesday on Post Wrestling. So we are back here tonight, as we'll always be. We're on the road to Deadline. We will be doing a show for that. You will be at a wedding, but I do believe I will have some coverage from a Post Wrestling regular. So stay tuned for that as well. But we will be doing a show for that. But yeah, it's Tuesday. Hello, everybody. How's it going?
Hey, chat room. What's going on?
Yeah. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not bad. How are you?
I'm good. It's Tuesday night, and we weren't together. We don't watch NXT as much together anymore. And I miss, I saw JC Jane come out, and I missed you doing your JC Jane impressions when
the JC Jane dance.
I mean, I miss your friendship, your kindness, and your cooking too, but
most of all,
Jane impression. Yeah. I feel like listeners and people don't know, like, we were roommates for so long doing this show that sometimes we'd be watching NXT together and we'd start talking and doing the thing, and then we'd have to like stop ourselves, like, hey, we can't like be fake and recreate this on a show. So in a way, it does kind of help when we kind of don't spoil ourselves with
I think there's definitely things I do prefer in a way. I think exactly that, not kind of, it's hard to watch a show with someone and not talk about the show you're watching at the time, and therefore kind of influence each other's opinion. I've always said I actually quite enjoy going to see movies on my own because I'm never, especially comedies, you know, you're sat watching a comedy that you find really funny and the person next to you just hasn't made a sound and suddenly it gets in your head like they hate it. They're not enjoying themselves. Should I not be finding this funny? Am I weird for finding this funny? And it can influence you a bit. So I do definitely prefer watching these kinds of things on my own because I think we come in a bit fresher with our own opinions, and it's either cool when we agree or disagree or whatever. So there's definitely that, but obviously I miss you, man. Like we did it so long together.
Mm-hmm. Well, there'll still be some times I see you. We are recording some shows for the Patreon tomorrow. We're double stacking a busy recording day for us, so I am going to be seeing you in person tomorrow. We're going to watch Dynamite. Which is a great segue because you are going away for a little bit. You have quite a quest. We're both going to Full Gear for in a few weeks, but then from New York you're going to the old country across the pond to have a wedding and then see your mom and stuff like that. So you'll be away for a little bit, but it doesn't stop the Patreon shows because we thought we'd kind of bulk down and pre-record some things. And I'd say we have a great list of shows coming up that everyone's gonna love because obviously War Games is happening, and I mean War Games is coming up in just a few weeks, and we're gonna do a retro War Games as well.
We are, yes, yeah. We put it up to a poll. Fall Brawl 1996 has been decided. This is Team NWO versus Team WCW. You've got I think Jericho versus Benoit is on this show, I believe. I just watched a bit of it earlier. DDP against a very young Chavo Guerrero, sporting a very nice mustache. So that will be releasing a week of Survivor Series. But we have so much more going on as well.
Yes, we just recorded episode 3 of The Champ Is Here with our friend Pierce Roberson, Emmy award-winning producer. He works in all different stuff in TV and sports and everything, but he is the host of the Barber's Chair podcast, Ruthless Aggression podcast, and this was quite a show. We went through 380 days of the Reign of Terror, John Cena's 3rd title reign. Yes, we've been going through the history of John Cena because of his retirement, and we've looked at his first 2 title wins in separate shows, and now this 3rd one, and this is the longest one, the lengthiest one. The reason why they call it a Reign of Terror is because of this, and but it's got a lot of great matches and great moments and awesome stuff to go back and rewatch. A lot of bad stuff too, but we went through it all, and the 3 of us had quite a show, and I really am proud of this one.
Oh, yeah. If you heard the little stinger at the beginning of this show, our little commercial, 2007 was a weird year. Yes, a very long John Cena reign, but also you had, great Khali. You had Donald Trump. You had maybe Rosie O'Donnell. You definitely didn't have Michael Pena, star of Ant-Man.
If you know, you know. If you listen to the show, yeah. Hey, what about Kevin Federline too? We do
Kevin
a great
Federline. I'm pretty sure was there. Yes,
history lesson on Kevin Federline is on this podcast.
Yeah, a very weird time in wrestling. It was great. Pierce was such a fantastic host. We've had a lot of positive feedback about our host this week. So yeah, we might be putting out a little bit of this for free down the line.
I think this was almost a 3-hour podcast that we did with Pierce, and this was covering a lot, again, over a year long of different episodes and moments and matches that we talked about. So it was really long. I think to get people interested, I'm going to give the first hour for free over on our Poisonrana free feed. And if you haven't followed us, you should. If you use Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever it is, search Poisonrana, give us a follow. We have tons of free shows, including Poisonrana Live, which I'm now dubbing PRL.
Okay, nice.
From Sundays. And we talked a lot about the bloodline and all the stuff going in from AEW into Full Gear and everything going into War Games. So we do talk a lot of other wrestling, not just NXT. So I do recommend people to check out all our stuff. And if you're not quite ready to jump cannonball into the Patreon. The free feed is definitely where you can wet your feet. So I'm going to give out the first hour of the Champ is Here episode 3 for everyone to listen to and kind of wet your whistle for what it is we actually do, because we have a lot of fun over on our Patreon. We have tons of different podcasts, and we have tons of different shows on our free feed, like the DETOX, Wattup, and Shot in the Dark, where John Cena Evil fills you in on 15 minutes or less of all the wrestling that you may or may not watch, and it's free. He gives you the results, he gives you his little tidbits, and I need to hear him discuss whatever is going on in Women of Wrestling with their new Earth gimmick, Daniel Bryan, CJ Parker thing. If you know, you know again. But for thoughts on that, definitely check out Shot in the Dark. But Poisonrana on all your socials, including Blue Sky, I believe, Davie, you have created. So
yes, poisonrana.bsky.social.
Oh, that's terrible. They got to fix that.
They'll fix that eventually. But yes, a lot of people migrating over, and I've seen a lot of you giving us a follow already. So it's the same handle as before, but with all the extra nonsense at the end. But you'll be able to find us just by searching Poisonrana Pod into your Blue Sky, as well as Davie Portman and the Brady.
Yes.
But yeah, lots going on. As you mentioned, Champ is here. You can also go back and find our first episode of the show for free, where it serves kind of as a primer to John Cena, like his early career, going to his first title win. Very lengthy show with Andrew Thompson and Nate Milton, but you can listen to that for completely free, either on our feed or the Post Wrestling feed, if you go back. And we are recording another one this month because we kind of skipped October because we had all the spooky offerings going on. And I can say we'll be joined by Josh Nason from the Wrestling Observer newsletter and the Limitless Wrestling podcast. He's going to be joining us to talk about the 4th title reign of John Cena, which is actually his first ever World Heavyweight Championship. And Ultraman in the chat, nice to meet you. We are Poisonrana on Post Wrestling, and we will be talking about NXT in a little bit. Thank you for the feedback there.
Talk NXT.
Yeah.
Talk Ultraman. Yes, looking forward to another episode of The Champ is Here and tons of other podcasts that we do. Also, if you're in the Toronto area, just newly put up, if you are looking to watch War Games or Survivor Series, we are doing it Toronto style at Toronto Style Bar in Toronto at Dundas and Bloor. Check out Poisonrana.ca for tickets. We're going to have limited seats available, but we will be hanging out. We will be doing a Poisonrana party, watching Survivor Series War Games in Toronto. So go check it out. Again, limited tickets. So anyone listening who wants to come hang out with the Brady and the rest of the crew, you'll be away, but I will be there. And we'll be watching War Games. I might do some games. I might do some prizes and stuff as well, as always. But Poisonrana.ca for that, because I feel like we weren't going to do it. You were going to be away. I wasn't sure if I was working, but we had a lot of people message like, hey, we're really into this War Games match. We can't watch this just at home. So I saw that and said, okay, let's do a party. So definitely looking forward to that.
It's something that I think we kind of feel responsible for in the city now. So when things like WrestleMania come up and we both might not be here, I do feel a little like we got to let our Toronto crew have something. So I'm glad you're able to pull this off. Our usual location wasn't feasible this time round. But yeah, thank you to Toronto Style on Bloor Street for allowing us to put this event on. I know I'm grateful it's an earlier start than usual. So get that into your minds. It's 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, which is, it's nice for me because I'll be watching it across the pond, and I'm actually going to a watch party in London to see this as well. So earlier start is a lot better because, man, I think I did Revolution a couple of years ago back home, and that was like wrapping up around 6 a.m., which was just it's late. So yeah, grateful to these early starts right now.
Yeah, so super cool. Check out Poisonrana.ca. Get your tickets if you are in the Toronto area, because we're gonna have fun as we always do. It's a great little dive bar in the city. We're gonna have cheap drinks. They have food, great wings, and we're gonna have War Games, which I'm definitely looking forward to. So far, the card is looking pretty good.
Okay, so we will be getting into NXT in a bit, and I'm sure on Sunday we're going to be talking a lot about War Games once we've seen SmackDown. But it was confirmed yesterday. It is 5 members per team.
Mm-hmm.
And, they were trying to get Seth involved, bring back the old Shield stuff and all that. And Seth was like, absolutely not. Who do you see rounding up these 2 teams?
Is it going to be Cody? It can't be Cody.
No,
he's got to face Kevin.
I think Cody's facing Kevin.
Okay, what's Rikishi doing? Is he allowed to wrestle in a 2-ring cage? Has he got any more kids?
Yes. I think
Zumaga got any more kids? I think they can muster up someone in the. It's Thanksgiving in a way. It's Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving come before War Games. They'll have a family dinner and they'll go, hey, who wants to be on our team? And I'm sure they could find someone. But
so I mean, for the bloodline, you've got potentially Hikuleo, you've got potentially Lance Hathaway, potentially The Rock.
You could have both those guys, one of those guys, be in the match. But The Rock, regardless if he's actually in the match or if he's showing up, come on, he's got to. But I don't know who's on.
But the baby
original.
Side, I'm not.
Maybe
sure.
it's just 5-on-4 because everyone's like, nah, screw you guys. You guys have been tormenting everyone for like 2 years. We don't want to be on your team. So maybe that's the route they go. Because it's weird when this feels like the first organic War Games where it's just not like, oh, hey, because we have War Games, we better like have a bunch of people and put feuds against each other. Where this is like a bunch of dudes reuniting to take on like the guys that took their place essentially. So it actually like fits the story, but I'm not sure adding whoever in this. I mean, either way, the new bloodline win this match to kind of set up what's to come for our build to WrestleMania. But yeah, I'd say The Rock shows up regardless.
Ultraman suggesting Bronson Reed on the new blood side and Rollins being persuaded to join the original bloodline. Rollins, in a way, does make sense to join that team just because of the history and stuff. It would feel a little less shoehorned in. Bronson, however, does feel a little shoehorned in, even though he's feuding with Rollins right now.
Yeah, and like I think back to WrestleMania, like I know Cody and that was feuding with them and everything, but like think like the stuff with Seth with the chair and the recreating that moment and everything. It's like, I don't know, whatever. It's fine. All I'm saying is like that match sounds great.
What about The Rock on one side and on the other side, John Cena?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think maybe Cena is involved in the show and maybe announces like, hey, I'll be in the Royal Rumble, or hey, I'm going to be at Elimination Chamber, which we know he will be at these things. But yeah, that's just weird if we have John Cena
if you get The Rock on one side, you've got the connection there. They had their thing together at WrestleMania 40 this year. It's also Cena's never done a War Games of all the things he's done. That's not to say he couldn't do next year's, but I don't know. Maybe get things rolling right now.
That's a weird one. Like I imagine Cena's going to be in a big program around the Rumble, be in the Rumble, have matches at the pay-per-views, and then have a Mania match as a big draw. Is this going to be his last Mania? Mania 41? Yeah. So like that's a huge draw. And no matter what, I'm sure it's the match. Too bad they don't have Baron Corbin to have his last match with. That would really,
I know, right?
Would be so good. Did you see the Kurt Angle comment?
Wait, sorry. Cena's not an Olympian though, is he?
Oh, true. Right. Yeah, that's right. Olympian rapper is John Cena. Yeah, I feel like we'll have John Cena wrestle, but maybe not at Survivor Series. I'm not quite sure about that. But they've added what, Gunther versus Priest? Did they add? I think.
Yeah, Gunther v Priest has been added.
That sounds pretty good too. Like Priest has had a good year for him. I feel like he's someone who has like, got the title. He had his reign and never. I don't see him winning, but like I think he's someone they can easily slot into big matches like this and deliver. And especially against someone like Gunther, I think those two will really slug it out. So kind of a sleeper hit where I'm like, oh, okay. But actually, I'm interested.
Yeah, their match at SummerSlam was pretty decent until like the finish, which take that as you will. It was like the screwy finish, but set up a lot of things coming up. So hopefully maybe a bit more of a clean match this time round. But yeah, definitely interested by that. You know what else interests me, Braden? So I've not been too hot on this Full Gear card. I'm I'm just not a Costco guy. I know
Doom. You're bringing
really
the
excited,
Doom right now on the
but
show. What is wrong with you?
thanks to Guns N' Roses, AEW has secured a license to use November Rain in our videos promoting AEW Full Gear.
Whoa! Wow, that's kind of cool. You know, I still listen to. I love
that song. I don't care.
I've been in a crazy '80s metal rock mood I've been watching this documentary series about different '80s bands, and oddly enough, just watched a Guns N' Roses one. And it made me. Then I went and had a walk the other day, and Cinderella can't always get what you want till it's gone came on, and I thought of AEW using that, and I was like, man, they really like had something there. Like they license music, but why don't they do it anymore for shows like that? And then now you tell me this, I'm like, that's kind of funny. So November Rain for Full Gear, I can see it now. You're gonna see video packages in the sweet November Rain, and then Big AJ. Big Justice, the Rizzler dropping the boom on QT Marshall. Oh man, wow! I'm excited. That's a big tune too.
Oh, it's a great
song.
Be
cheap, right?
The solo's awesome. Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna be bumping it all weekend then.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
And literally just announced it. Just flashed up on not Blue Sky.
What was we got to shout out Botchamania, because Botchamania 500 came out. We have a little thing where we only watch Botchamania together.
Yeah.
And we watched Botchamania 500, and he did a whole video with Bon Jovi, right? He never really uses real songs.
That's right. Yeah.
But he did like a whole like Bon Jovi music video, and it almost felt like, is this the end of Botchamania? Which I was like, thank God it's not, because apparently a video you took of Psycho Clown has been featured in Botchamania 501 with the tag at Poisonrana Pod. So tomorrow when I'm over, we're gonna watch this, and we got to see your video clip of.
We finally made it.
We've done it, brother. We've done it. We
still can't get a media credential to save our life, but we're on Botchamania, so
yeah,
we did it, guys.
Exactly. Yeah. Hopefully we can get on again.
Yeah,
because
I'm just gonna film everything now, everything I see, just for Botcha.
We will be. That was from Demand Lucha, and I know it's a while away, but mark your calendars already, Toronto peeps. Demand Lucha, a very Lucha Christmas, December 19th, a Thursday at Parkdale Hall in Toronto. We will be there because it's our boy Gringo Loco taking on Scripps.
Yeah,
I'm sold.
Yeah.
I'm going to this. I cannot wait. We got to get a photo with Scripps.
Oh, I'm getting super festive for this one. You know, ugly sweaters and all that, all the eggnog. Or we love our creamy.
Haven't had any yet.
Drinks. I want to try, and I think we'll be talking tomorrow on a little show we're recording. I overheard someone at the bar the other day talking about Fernet, which is a favorite of ours, and he went, have you ever put Fernet in eggnog? And it's all I've been thinking about ever since.
Yeah,
so
I
want to give that a try.
Ooh, that sounds very good. Also got a shout out, a review that's coming out in a few weeks on our Patreon, The Suicide Squad, to tie in with the John Cena theme and our Batman reviews that we've been doing on our feed. Our friend Rob will be joining us, another Emmy Award winner. Friend of ours, Rob, will be joining us. That's legit too, to talk all about this movie. And I watched it today, and John Cena, and I swear this is an ad lib, mentions, "Hey, what do you guys drink around here?" Yeah, and just doesn't even wait for an answer and just says, "A round of Fernet," which I thought was hilarious. So maybe John Cena secretly loves Fernet and Guinness, because I know that's his drink. I keep seeing things. You know what I tried today? Lay's has a new festive line of chips or crisps, sorry for some, but they had a turkey dinner, a festive turkey dinner flavored chips.
Nice.
But I got jerk chicken flavored Lay's chips, and they were okay. I felt like I like where you're going with this. I like the idea of this jerk chicken chips, but I feel like it maybe wasn't executed the properly way, because I feel like crisps or chips, like in England, and I've had them in Australia, the flavors there are better. They taste like what they're actually supposed to be.
Okay, so you have me curious about the turkey one, because I like the roast chicken flavored crisps, especially when Walker's did the like sensations, which are like the premium ones, and they have
and the
like
lamb ones,
roast
lamb
chicken with
mint.
rosemary and thyme and that kind of thing. It's so good.
Yeah.
Oh, the lamb and mint one's sensational. Yeah.
Like I love the lamb and mint ones, but they don't have them here. But we got some crazy other ones that I was like, damn, it was all right. It was okay.
Yeah. Well, shall we get into NXT?
Yes, I think so. Another last plug, because this was just something we had plans to hang out. Our friend Benno from Grapple is visiting, and we wanted to take him to a local haunt of ours, Blood Brothers Brewery. We go to this place quite often. Our friends always get beer from here. Like, it's a great brewery in the city. And we noticed that we all were trying to plan. We were trying to get Wade, trying to get John, trying to get some friends. Jack One-On's going to join us, I think. We were going to go to this brewery on a Sunday. And then when I checked their socials, they got a wrestling show going on the Sunday. So I have to shout out Northern Crown, because I was like, wow, that sounds cool. It says it's their third ever show. Main event is Fuerza, Vertigo, and Josh Alexander there. Those are three like huge, great Toronto workers. That match will be absolutely insane. So I was like, sick. We're going to have some wrestling. We have some good beer. But then today, WWE ID puts out a tweet tagging this show and says, for the first time, someone in Canada has been ID'd. We will be there Sunday to find out who.
Nice.
So very interesting. A show we are going to this Sunday in Toronto, Northern Crown Wrestling. We've not yet been to one of their shows, but it's wrestling in a brewery. Count us in. And now WWE ID. Someone will be ID'd coming soon.
Interesting.
This whole ID thing is interesting. Like, where's this going to go? What's going to happen? Because you're seeing all these different stars, people we've seen on the independents getting this. And I'm just hoping wrestlers are making that bank, making that go on. But yeah, pretty cool. So we'll be there on Sunday for any Toronto peeps.
Awesome. Yeah, hopefully see you there. Well, now should we get into some NXT?
Absolutely. It's NXT time.
NXT from November 12th, 2024 from the Performance Center. And we start things off with the Metaphor Girls, Lash Legend, Jakara Jackson taking on Stephanie Vaquer and Giulia. We have a bit of an insert promo from the Meta Girls here, who says, well, you've been figuring yourselves out in NXT. We've been making it on Raw and SmackDown. And Jakara says that she doesn't give a damn about their aura. And tonight they'll learn what the Meta Girls are all about. Match kicks off with Lash and Giulia going at it, with Legend showing off a lot of her power here. Jakara comes in and attempts a bunch of different interesting looking pinning combinations, and then a missile drop kick. Vaquer gets tagged in, and we saw this last week, but Giulia with the drop toe hold into the 619 from Vaquer, followed up by the double elbow drop. And then Stephanie does her leg, like head scissors, face bashing against the mat.
Yeah,
always gets a good reaction. Giulia then goes for a crucifix, but Lash doesn't go down, and she's powering up. Stephanie even tries super kicking her in the face to knock her down, but Lash still doesn't go down. And then Vaquer comes in with a crossbody, and Lash catches her, and with Giulia still on her back, does the double dribble, or I guess quadruple dribble here, bouncing up and down against the ropes, and then sends him to the outside. And Jakara climbs onto Legend's shoulders with a huge crossbody to the floor, which looked really impressive here.
Yeah, great move. I think we've seen them do it, but like it's impressive. Lash is already really tall, and then having Jakara on her shoulders doing the dive, like it can go really wrong, but she really went flying and nailed it.
Lash catches Giulia again on her back, and Giulia kind of swings round into almost a modified code red here. And then Vaquer comes in with the code breaker. There's a drop kick off the apron from Giulia. Jakara comes in for a roll up, but only two. And then Giulia and Vaquer catch her and deliver essentially the BTE trigger to pick up the win here.
Yes, it was very similar, wasn't it? I love the tag team moves with Vaquer and Giulia. Like, I hope down the line we continue to see them like as an alliance, as much as we need to see them wrestle again. I think they have had some matches before, but I love the great like combos that they were doing. It's very impressive. But these two, like, just showcasing exactly what they're here for. Like, the reason they get this praise that we've been hearing about these women, and it's like now finally getting to see them wrestle on a regular basis is pretty great. Like, they've instantly like raised this division, like added to what was already a great established roster, because now having these two in here wrestle Jakara and Lash, like they're helping them up, because Lash at like one point, I think people were ready to write her off, and like here, like she's having some decent matches, and I think her and Jakara on the main roster like should eventually work. So I thought this was a good like little opener here. It didn't necessarily get into like another gear or anything, but I thought the team of Vaquer and Giulia, I'm like, man, these are two like strong, powerful women characters that I can definitely like get behind in the future. Like the future in WWE is gonna be great with these two involved.
Yeah, they look like they've been tagging for a while. Which is I know they knew each other beforehand, but not necessarily as a tag team. And the Meta Girls have really improved. I think Lash we've been talking about for probably a year now, I'd say. Like, remember the stuff with like Otis where she power slammed him and stuff, has definitely found herself and what works for her, and is way more fluid in the ring than she used to be. Jakara, we've kind of made the comment that she remains hidden a lot of the time in these matches, and I thought she really stepped it up in this one and had some nice looking sequences and stuff. So they keep improving, and they've got big personalities as well. So I don't want to see them give up with these two, because I think they could be a pretty fun act on the main roster when they finally make the full move. Yeah,
absolutely. Like Lash, like think back, she had the talk show Lashing Out and stuff. Like some of her stuff was pretty brutal to watch, but like she's come such a long way that I think both of them got a bright future here as well. But yeah.
After the match, we got, I didn't catch this guy's name. I believe this is a new interviewer. I'm not familiar with this guy, but...
Yeah, we saw him once or twice before.
Have we?
And I was like, who the hell is this guy? And then I thought the same thing right now.
So he gets into the ring and says that they're both going to be having qualifying matches and what to expect at Deadline. And Giulia just says she knew that the day would come. And Vaquer says, see you at Deadline. And they stare at each other and shake each other's hands. So, yeah.
This wasn't a qualifying match, right?
I don't believe so, no.
But like, we know that these two will be in that match. They shouldn't even need to qualify. They beat the champ, like, didn't they? Like twice now. The babyface team has won. So we didn't get an answer to this, but we've been really pushing for, hey, why don't we have this match for the title with Roxanne in it? We haven't got that, so I don't think that's the direction they're going, but I could see these two potentially going into that match, or they have a match against each other and then only one of them goes in.
I mean, I think after last week, I see Zarya facing Roxanne for the title at Deadline, and these five being in the Iron Survivor for the number one contenders.
That's definitely, like, Zarya is the one who pinned her, right? Like, Zarya pinned Roxanne like pretty cleanly in that match. So it does give her like, hey, you should have the shot. However, again, just the NXT fantasy booking here. Imagine the Deadline match of Roxanne, Zarya, Giulia, Vaquer, and I don't know, anyone else really. Like, already sounds incredible. I mean, Sol Ruca, as we'll kind of get to, Cora, Jade. They do sometimes the last chance kind of qualifiers too, where it's like another person can have another chance to get in. So either way, if it is Zarya, Roxanne, that's pretty cool too. But yeah.
Okay, well, something we might want to try and watch and talk about on Sunday is Trivial Pursuit, hosted by LeVar Burton, with Roxanne Perez, Lola Vice, Wes Lee, and Trick Williams appearing, I believe,
Thursday at 9.
Yeah.
On the CW. Yeah, LeVar Burton, Reading Rainbow, Star Trek. Reading Rainbow. Oh man, trust me, Davie. One of America's sweethearts, LeVar Burton. Trust me.
Okay.
You know him if you saw him, but he.
I'm looking at him right now.
And you're like, I don't know who this is. Oh man. he's great. He's had little bits and cameos in certain shows and stuff like that. He hosted Reading Rainbow. That was for a lot of kids and stuff, but I think people love him from Star Trek as well. But now he hosts Trivial Pursuit. And I talked about this a few weeks ago where I saw the ads, and it was Trivial Pursuit with LeVar Burton and Scrabble with Raven Simone. I'm like, wow, I didn't realize these were actual TV shows, but I love my Jerry O'Connell on Pictionary, so maybe I will have to check this out.
Yeah, I'd be curious to check it out. And I think it's, as far as I'm aware, it's the first kind of we've had, who was the NASCAR driver? We had that guy, Cold Custard. We had him come on NXT. But I believe this is the first time we've had sort of NXT talent on other CW shows as well. So synergy,
yeah,
all that.
That's really cool. Like, I can't remember, like, letting wrestlers go on these shows is such a good thing. Like, I joked about Pictionary. WWE have wrestlers on there all the time. The Miz, Xavier Woods, etc. Like, they're on there helping, synergy and promoting it. It promotes WWE. And having NXT on it is even like a smart, like, yeah, you're both on the channel. Why wouldn't you? So I think that's actually pretty cool. And I think it would be fun to kind of check out and see them. Will Wes be in heel character for this show?
Well, that's what's interesting. You've got 2 heels, 2 baby faces here, haven't you?
They'll be, it would be funny if they were in character. So now I am a little interested in, so I love, like, never forget Kane won Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I think Matt Hardy won Fear Factor.
I always think back to the Weakest Link.
Weakest Link, that's what it was, maybe.
Was that what Kane won? I remember, Big Show was on that. Booker T. What? Booker T was terrible.
Oh,
wasn't it Booker T didn't know the number of states or something like that? He was useless. Oh. And then Becky Lynch on Jeopardy, who didn't get a single question right.
Oh, right. Yeah. I remember, I don't know if it was WWE or NXT. They did Silent Library or what. Remember that show? Did you ever watch that show?
No.
It was like a Japanese thing, and then they like tried to make it in America and MTV. You have to do challenges, but be quiet in the library. And like,
right. Yes, I've seen
it's ridiculous. I think like Ziggler and Trent, who was in WWE at the time, did it. It was pretty funny. Yeah.
Interesting.
We'll have to check it out.
We go to our first Iron Survivor qualifying match of the evening. Cora Jade taking on Sol Ruca. We get an insert promo from Cora here, who says, "Last week I stood in the ring with the best women in the world, including my best friend. And this week I'm with Sol, and she can do everything in that ring, but she can't snatch my soul." And she says she'll be the next Iron Survivor. And we go to the match, and Cora starts by just sort of taunting Sol. She's sitting on the turnbuckle. She's not ready to fight quite yet. And this crowd are chanting for Sol Ruca. Sol then mocks her by doing the same, and she sits in the corner when Cora's ready to go. And they start yelling at each other. Sol eventually gets her to the mat and stands on her back, riding her like a surfboard. What I kind of liked is, like, with this, Cora was trying to get up, which made it almost like the waves that Sol's just surfing.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, this is funny also because Cora used to be the skateboarder, the skater who never ever skated on that skateboard. Remember, she'd always come out with that little board and then roll a little bit, take it up, and then it turned out to be paper. Maybe that's why she never rolled it.
You'll never let that down.
Never fucking letting that go.
So she then delivers a super kick to Cora. Cora comes back with a springboard stomp to the lower back. They start trading forearms, and Cora scouts a springboard from Sol, goes for her DDT, but that gets blocked. And then Sol sends Cora knee first into the turnbuckle. Obviously, Jade just returning from a knee injury. So this stalls Cora for a second, which allows Ruca to hit the Sol Snatcher for the win.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked at this and was pretty happy with this result. I've been a big fan of Sol Ruca, and I just figured with the way things were going with Cora Jade aligning herself with Roxanne and how the booking has been kind of going with the deadline match coming up and everything, I just figured Cora would be a shoo-in to be one of the heels in that match. And I was totally shocked. So I'm pretty pumped at Sol Ruca getting a shot here, an opportunity, because again, thinking to fantasy booking this deadline Iron Survivor women's match, like Sol Ruca wrestling with all these women in there sounds great, and she's someone who stepped up. So I thought this was like a like an upset really for Cora. I mean, maybe she wins like the last chance or whatever to get put in this as well.
I feel like this was the right result. I think Cora's still going to be all over this pay-per-view. She'll be in Roxanne's corner.
Yeah.
She might even interfere in this match, trying to take out the biggest threats or something like that. So I think Cora's still going to be on this show. And I think a talent like Soul, someone quick who we're going to see the Soul Snatcher off the penalty box. I'm calling it now.
Oh yeah, we're gonna see some crazy stuff from if Giulia is in this match, if Vaquer is in this match, man, the possibilities of stuff they can do is crazy. I'm sure.
I think it's the right move, and I think she'll fit in this match really well, and possibly even start the match off.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I didn't think this was like a bad match or anything. Like Cora, I think has looked good since coming back from injury, which is a definite like improvement so far with Cora. And even though she lost, I think you're right. Like she's still going to be, whether she is added into this match anyways, or is there to help Roxanne. But I think she's been playing this heel character pretty well.
We see Javon Evans and Cedric backstage, and Javon says that Soul is locked in for deadlock. And Cedric's like, it's deadline. They're both locked in. They were just both telling each other how locked in they are for deadline. Everyone's locked in. You're locked in. I'm locked in. We're all.
That's such a radio thing. Like keep it locked here. Yeah. Keep it locked right here on Up Next. But is his thing? Maybe he was just shouting out deadlock on this thing. Isn't that like it's a wrestling YouTube and podcast and stuff? But yeah, I like that he plays the like silly 20-year-old because he is a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
Still, but yeah.
We then see Carmen Petrovic, who is like sort of flirting with Dion Lennox here, but she's asking. They're talking about what their favorite colors are, and Carmen says hers is yellow, and then a little later in the conversation, she says it's red. And this is when Ashanti the Adonis comes in, and he's like, "Really, Carmen? You're talking to my best friend right now?" And Dion's like, "Look, I don't want anything of this. I know what you're doing." And says, "Look, maybe seeing that you keep on trying to cost each other's matches, maybe you could tag with each other and therefore you can't cost each other their matches." And Brindley Reese was there. So I assume this is setting up for Lennox and Reese against Carmen and Ashanti. But this here was definitely Carmen trying to use Lennox to maybe get Ashanti a little jealous here.
A classic. Ooh, yeah, I'll get him interested in me by talking to his friend, who's not really his friend. I'm enjoying this this romance telenovela style Degrassi storyline between Carmen. It's interesting. It's funny. Like I think Ashanti especially is like very funny in this role and comes way too naturally for him in this role, I think, which really works for him. And then like Carmen being like, it's like what they're playing hard to get, cat and mouse. It's like very, think of like movies and sitcoms and stuff where it's like clearly these two are, they're shining for each other, but there's something in the way. And I think eventually they do end up together is the like end game of this story. Like I think, I don't know, both being heels, I guess. I'm not quite sure, but
I mean, it's kind of I don't know. He's the bad boy. She doesn't want to show that she's interested. Ultraman's really not liking it. The common romance angle is weak. I like a mixed tag, but I wish they didn't have to be romance angles all the time.
You know what? They don't do a lot lately in NXT, and they're not just like making them go on dates right away and stuff like that. It's just kind of like, hey, they have interest in each other. So they haven't necessarily gone this route in quite a while when NXT was very heavy on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so are there any other sort of on-screen couples at the moment in NXT? No. I can't really think of any. And but the question is, will these romance angles continue to Bloodsport 12?
Yo, yeah. Right before NXT tonight, they announced Josh Barnett's Bloodsport, Sunday, November 24th in Jersey. Carmen Petrovic taking on Sumi Sakai 1-on-1 in a blood sport match. That's fucking awesome. That's crazy. Yo, Carmen's in for a fight, but I mean, Carmen's a karate like Olympian.
Yeah, she is.
Sumi, yeah.
And she has a sword. A sword's legal in blood sport?
I guess so. We'll have to ask Josh Burnett about that. But that's fucking hype, man. Like, that's a show that's got AEW talent on it, that's got all the like GCW people and everything. Like, Bloodsport has been quite on a roll lately, and I think that's a pretty sweet addition, and involving NXT and using up and coming talent like that. Like, that's gonna score Carmen some big points with, like, you know, independent wrestling fans and people I'm sure most people will know who she is at that show, but if you didn't, you'll be like, hey, who the hell is this? So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think so too. We go to Ava's office where she has the tag division here. She said last week she wanted to address the tag situation. She really didn't.
No.
Because she just had all the tag teams there, apart from, I couldn't see Idris and Malik. And am I just forgetting what happened with them? Are one of them injured? But I feel it's been a while since we've seen those two.
Yeah. I can't really remember the last time we saw them. And it's been quite a while. There was the stuff with Brooks and one of them being injured, maybe potentially. But yeah, like Ava saying, I'm going to solve the tag team problem, and really didn't solve the tag team problem at all. Really. She has no promises on her policies. She has ideas of policies.
Yeah, she basically just had all the tag teams there and just said, I want you to step up, and who's going to shout. But she didn't announce any kind of tournament. She didn't announce any kind of rankings or anything. It was just like, hey, tag teams, we need a challenger for the tag champions.
It's like, so hey, our tag division sucks, and none of you are bringing it anymore. So step up. And they're like, all right, cool. But I don't know.
So you had the likes of Gallus was in there. You had Tyson and Tyreek. You had OTM. You had Hank and Tank and the family, who they're all just bickering about who deserves this more than others. But
a bit
it
of
wasn't.
Yeah,
I didn't like this. This whole tag thing, this whole episode reminded me of what they often just do with the women's division on NXT, which is have them stood in a locker room, just
the schmosh finish,
bickering, just bickering at each other. And I thought this was really uninspired, this whole thing.
Yeah, the tag division in NXT is pretty weak. You just named, that's the tag division, all those teams, and none of them really are at the level of the tag champs. Fraxium, really, like, the tag division is weak, but the best tag team this year in wrestling is Fraxium. It's just they don't have any other teams to have banger matches with, because all the teams in NXT are kind of still pretty green and not really not really ready. So I don't even know out of that group.
It's a lot of big guys as well, isn't it? Like OTM, Tyson, Tyreek, Hank and Tank. They're all like big lads here, apart from maybe the family. The family is probably the most interesting for like match quality, but I feel like as well.
I think the family or OTM are the ones who come out of this with, like, I don't know. I'm kind of, I'm hoping that maybe they do pull something out and have a great match, because we've seen some good stuff from Stax in the past, and I'm sure he's itching to break out and show again what he's capable of. Luca, I think, is still pretty green, but again, like, maybe he can, step up. But so maybe the family is the right choice to go with that against Fraxium. They've been pushing like, hey, we're more than just lackeys and stuff. I just think this division is a little weak right now. Like, maybe they could bring in some other people to
I'd really like for this is when we get around to the next Dusty Classic, like towards the beginning of next year, do what you did with the first ones and have, like Ciampa and Gargano were originally just brought in as two independent wrestlers who hadn't tagged with each other at all and just put together. You've got this WWE ID thing. Throw a couple of those names in there. Because I thought that was a really interesting time when you had the Dusty Classic, the Cruiserweight Classic, the Mae Young Classic, and you had this mixture of signed talent with outside talent, and some people signed to stay, and then you had the Kota Ibushis and Zack Sabre Jr.'s of the world who went on to do other things. But I think it would be interesting for the next Dusty Classic, have at least one WWE ID makeshift indie pairing who you can throw in, have maybe a main roster tag team come down, and then maybe just have two random stars on NXT put together, as well as your tag division. But I was expecting more than this. Honestly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Especially for her to be like, oh, next week I'm going to announce a tournament. That's not what she did. She just said, yeah, you guys all kind of suck. Yeah. You guys are not really doing it. So step up. Oh, okay. I don't know. I'd be down with them to bring in some other people. Like, look at Javon Evans. All of a sudden they're like, oh, this guy's sick. Let's sign him. He's young. He's 20. Put him on TV pretty much right away. And within 3 weeks was like a regular. And now look at him. He's become like one of the best, one of my favorite guys to watch week by week. Why can't we do that with the tag team? Like there's a lot of tag teams. There's a lot of tag teams on the indies. And you know what? Two random indie guys wouldn't mind being paired in a tag team if it means they're being featured on WWE TV. Look at Fraxium. A-Kid was kind of floating around doing some stuff, and then they turned him into Axiom. He was floating around doing some stuff. So was Nathan Frazier. They put them together, and it's kind of been magic ever since. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not quite sure, but we do need something, because all those teams, if the family is the most exciting coming out of it, it's like, okay, yeah.
We go to our first men's Iron Survivor qualifying match. Wes Lee taking on Cedric Alexander. There's a side headlock from Cedric that goes on forever. He then attempts a tope con hilo, but gets caught up in the ropes and lands pretty awkwardly on the floor. And we see the referee checking on him as we go to commercial break.
Yeah, scary moment for sure. Like I gasped at this. Like, we've seen this move from countless wrestlers every show, every week, and just like he didn't make it. Like, it could have been very, very bad, but thankfully he's okay, and the match continued.
We come back from the commercial break, and Wes Lee is dominating. Wes goes for the cardiac kick, but gets drop kicked, upside down, right in the face. That looked pretty good. We then get a springboard flatliner from Cedric for a 2 count. And then Wes does a kick to the knee and hits the cardiac kick, but only a 2 count as Cedric kicks out. Wes then goes up top and goes for the 450, but rolls through and runs into a clothesline. And then Wes is in the corner as Cedric's trying to pull him off, and Wes rips off the turnbuckle pad. And the referee turns to put the pad back on as Cedric hits the Michinoku driver and goes for the pin. But the ref is late to getting to the pin because he's putting the turnbuckle pad back. So it's only a 2. And then Cedric charges at Wes, but gets drop kicked in the knee, which sends him face first into the exposed turnbuckle, and then gets hit by a running Meteora for the win.
Yeah, there was some shaky moments for Cedric in this match. That tope, especially. There was a few spots that he's just felt like maybe he was a step behind where we usually seen him like land these moves perfectly. But then he did hit some stuff like that jumping, crazy looking flatliner. Always looks super nice. The finish was something different, but in a way, I guess, kind of protects Cedric without just flat out, and kind of still healing up Wes with this like, hey, the ref looks pretty stupid. Like, oh, I'm just not going to pay attention to the match. And like, it's classic wrestling, I guess. But there was that upside down kick also that looked pretty good. But I don't think I think like 3 years ago, this match would have like really hit and people would be like, oh man, like, but maybe it didn't get to the levels that I kind of thought it would, because we've mentioned since Cedric's been back on TV in NXT, it does feel like he's missed a step or two, like he's not quite the Cedric of you mentioned the Cruiserweight Classic and those kinds of things. Like he feels like he's maybe like not, he's just stagnant kind of. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I didn't really like this. I think you hear Cedric Alexander and Wes Lee, and on paper you're thinking back to Cedric of 7 years ago, and which sounds like a great match, but he's put on so much size. I don't know if he's just wanting to get out and be with Bobby and Shelton, who are both just fucking units, but he's put on a lot of size, and it's slowed him down. He doesn't seem as crisp as he used to be, and there were more than one fumbles in this match, which for someone as experienced as Cedric, you really don't expect. But even that aside, like the whole beginning, like when you hear Cedric Alexander versus Wes Lee, do you picture rear chin lock? No. Like, and the whole first half of this match seemed to be that. As you said, there were things that still looked nice. Michinoku driver, the drop kick to the face and the cardiac kick, that was cool. But I thought the kick out of the cardiac kick seemed unearned as well. Like that was a big moment when Javon kicked out of that. Was that last week? I don't think Cedric deserves a kick out of this guy's finishing move, really. No. Yeah, I was really disappointed with this, and
I was a little disappointed. Like it had some cool moments, but at the end, I was like, I think it. Like I think you said it. Like I was thinking back to, these two should like have a great match, and it didn't really.
And I think maybe Cedric just needs to adapt his style now. Like if this is like the frame he's working with now, because we've said this more than once now, I feel, since this NXT run for Cedric.
Yeah. Like we love this guy, and seeing him like miss a tope, like he could really hurt himself if he missed that in a different angle or different way and stuff like that. So maybe it was a few missteps, and he's like, okay, maybe I gotta focus. I'm not sure, but yeah, hope he's all right.
We go to Tony D'Angelo's restaurant where he's eating dinner, and I gotta say, because normally on NXT, when we see them eating like pasta, it's just like pasta and red sauce. It hasn't looked good.
It usually looks cold. It's like been sitting. It's just like plain pasta with like a lump of some sauce, not gravy, sauce, and it's like it just looks like that's not what this guy would actually order or eat if this was his like establishment.
But clearly, since winning the North American title, he's going for those more expensive entrees, because I thought this looked pretty tasty. What he had,
yeah, it looked like he was having. I could be wrong, but with the quick scan of the camera, was this some nice bow tie pasta? Maybe some bow tie Alfredo chicken thing going on? Maybe fish? I'm not quite sure, but
yeah, was there a lobster tail on there? I think
that would really add to it. Like I know it's NXT main roster, maybe we do the lobster kind of thing, but it did look like he was actually eating a meal this time, whereas before it's just like it kind of is like that's what this guy's eating. But he is the champ now, so lobster should be on the menu.
While we're talking about NXT dinners, because we've had a lot over the year. Remember, like Johnny and Candice always used to have their chicken Caesar salad while they did those weird vignettes. They would
eat their chicken salad with Ciampa's cup or Johnny's cup on the table, right?
That's right.
Way too close to the salad.
Yeah. Yes. But I was reminded last night on Raw because there was a bit of a damage control against Pure Fusion Collective, and Io and Zoe were going at it, and commentary goes, and of course they were tag team champions in NXT, something I'd completely forgotten about, and then remembered, yes, don't you remember Io took Zoe for dinner, and Zoe just started throwing the fish,
the sushi
everywhere. The sushi and the tentacles and all that.
Yeah, it was kind of like
very rude. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very mean of her to be throwing. Like, imagine you take a friend for sushi and they just start like, and they throw it like that. You'd get like charged, possibly. Yeah. You'd be kicked out of this. Sorry. Also, what the fuck is the stable called on Raw?
Pure Fusion Collective.
Stop it. You're joshing me. Sorry, say it again. Pure Fusion Collective?
Yep. The funniest was when they first came out, and I'm pretty sure Michael Cole did what you just did. He was like, sorry, what are they called?
What? Pure
PFC. What
the fuck?
Yeah, because they're pure, they fuse and they collect.
Cut it out. Cut it out. Stop.
So Tony's eating his dinner, and we see this guy. I believe this is Nico. And he goes, is this done? And he goes, it's done, boss. And he leaves. And then Brooks Jensen and Sean Spears show up. And Tony goes, it's you guys again. You keep annoying me. Keep showing up. Spears says, well, yes, I'm persistent. And he goes, and I'm after a title, but I'm not after the title of Don. I want that. And he's pointing to the North American title. And Spears says, look, I've let you slide twice, but not this time. And I know you defeated the monster, and now you're stronger than ever. But I want Brooks Jensen to challenge you for that. And Tony asks Brooks, why are you thinking for yourself? What's in it for Sean Spears? Why aren't you going for the title? And Spears says he's starving and he's willing to do more and more and be more. And the only thing that will satisfy his appetite is the North American title. And then we see Brooks and Spears leave. And we see Brooks get into the back seat of the car. And you're like, why is he in the back? And then we look and we see Nico is the driver. And Sean says, that's how we deal with the boss. Isn't that right, Nico? Yes, it is.
Nico.
I can't believe Nico turned on the Don. I felt like I was really getting to know him these 30 seconds.
Yeah, so we've never seen this guy before, right? Nico, my cousin Nico. Yeah, so I like my Sopranos mixed with wrestling where hold a second, this guy was just at the Bada Boom with Tony, and now he's maybe he's just Uber. Maybe he's just like, hey, Tony doesn't pay me that good.
I was in the area, yeah.
I had another pickup, so yeah, we've not seen this guy. Briefly looking him up, Nico Vance is his name. A D1 football player, and I think formerly known as Skylar Clinton. That's probably his shoot name. But Nico Vance, he looks pretty intimidating, even as a driver and a money delivery guy or whatever this was. So, yeah, I think he's been on Level Up and stuff. So this is his, introduction into NXT universe where he's the driver or affiliate with Sean Spears, the learning chair, right? So yeah, I didn't mind this. I don't mind this as an introduction, but I get what you joked about is like, wait, we didn't even remember that this guy was doing what he was just doing.
We could have just seen him in the background for a few weeks.
We could have had him for like a week. Maybe we haven't been noticing, but I have not noticed him. So maybe, yeah.
A little weird as well with Spears saying he's starving for this championship, but it's Brooks going for it.
Is this Christian, where he's like, I'll be the champion and you're
yeah, maybe it'll be a bit like that, where Brooks wins and then Sean's carrying it around.
Yeah.
I always like seeing more Brooks Jensen because I like him. Absolutely. I'm not completely convinced on this act though, the two of them.
I'm not completely sold on this yet, but let's see where it plays out. Like it was going good for Brooks, and then we got him involved with Sean Spears, and I'm like, okay, let's see how it plays out. I guess, but now we got Nico. What they really should have done is got Nico's Ricos. But yeah,
they'd have to go to the Greek restaurant for that, though, wouldn't they?
Yeah, true.
We see Kelani Jordan, who says she doesn't care what Fatal Influence does tonight. She's getting her title back. And that's when JC and Jasmine walk in and just tell her that ain't happening. One way or another, she won't win the title. And then they leave, and Kelani says it's on site.
On site?
On site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excited.
On site, on lock. Yeah. All of that.
Don't say that again.
Trick Williams then comes out and says, last time there was an Iron Survivor, things went really well for Trick Willie, but he's not there to talk about that. He said he's not here to talk about him and Bubba putting Ethan Page through a table last week. He's here to talk about Ridge Holland, who pinned him last week. So get your punk. And he's interrupted by Andre Chase, who comes out. And he says, look, Trick, I have no beef with you, but I'm not done with Ridge Holland yet. And Trick says, look, Andre, I like you. Everything you've done, like everything that's happened to you, you always find a way of bouncing back. And then Trick gets the crowd to recognize Mr. Chase for all the hard work he's done in NXT over these years. And Trick says, you've done everything here, but you haven't won the NXT championship. So what about for one day, you and I just forget about Ridge Holland, and Ridge Holland interrupts. And he says, this has to stop. Andre Chase getting a title shot. Really? You call yourself a champion? and you're ducking me for a guy I put in an ambulance 2 weeks ago. And he tells Chase to move on. And he said, I made the ECW arena fall silent when I pinned your ass. And Andre Chase wants one more match against him. And Chase says, yes, I want a match. And, I'll put the university on the line. If I lose, Chase U is yours. And Rich says, I don't care about Chase U. You already gambled it away once, and
I've already left it. I don't
got it back. Which is Chase,
yeah.
If you think Andre Chase's reaction to everything is you can have my house. If I lose, you got my house, you got my car, you got.
I do like the attention to detail of him right away. First thing that comes to his head is I'm going to gamble and put something up in a match. Really following up with his, hey, this guy was addicted to gambling.
But I like Ridge knowing the law as well, being nah, you've done that already and you've got it back in the end.
Why would I want your university, if it even is a real university, when I fucking left this group already?
A lot of work as well.
What? Sorry, now you want me to be the administrator and professor and all this stuff? No, I
just came in to wrestle, man.
Yeah.
So Ridge said he doesn't care about it. The only thing he cares about is the NXT title. So Trick Williams sets up a match for next week where the winner will face Trick at Deadline. But he ain't going to lie. He's pulling for Mr. Chase. And he says, look, you have a great relationship with the crowd, with Duke, with Riley and Thea. And Ridge says, all right, I'll take that. And they're what? He says, if I win, your relationship with Riley, Duke, and Thea is done. Chase, you will be done. And I will walk straight into Deadline for the NXT Championship. Well, you have nothing. And for a man that can never win the big one, it's quite a gamble. And Andre Chase agrees. And then Trick and Chase just beat him up at the end and send Ridge out the win.
They do the Chase, give me a seat. They do the whole Chase you bit just together. It's so funny. What's even funnier is AEW's had some pretty wild, hilarious graphics for their matches. But the one they showed later is Andre Chase versus Ridge Holland. Winner gets a shot at the NXT Championship. And if Andre Chase loses, Chase U has to disband.
Yeah.
So, oh my God, guys, this could be it. This could be the end of Chase U.
Is it coming to an end?
As we know it. Holy shit. This can't be it. Okay. Ridge, they're really pushing him with this thing since the Chase U stuff. It's really not been working. I don't think anyone's this was the best case scenario for Ridge actually with this promo, because I don't think he necessarily said anything. It's Andre Chase, the storyline of hey, I'm gonna put up this if I lose, we disband kind of thing. But the crowd were just booing Ridge fully because they're so behind Andre Chase, because the thought that we got right away of hey, what if we get Andre versus Trick? And then it was ruined by Ridge coming out. They were just booing him. And I think he's lucky that they were booing him. I think he's lucky that they were giving him this reaction. He's one of the big baddies just because he's been beating on everyone's kind of favorite guy in Andre Chase. But I really don't want to see Trick versus Ridge. And I don't want to see Chase U break up. So it really should be Andre Chase versus Trick.
It's a weird one. I will say I'll give credit to Ridge. I think the last few weeks his promo game has improved a lot, and I think the stuff he had with Bubba Ray was pretty good. I don't even hate him in ring, but I don't think he's the right opponent for Trick. Trick's had a bit of a ropey run. I really haven't particularly liked much of the stuff with Ethan Page. I think his best matches are people maybe a bit smaller and intense, like your Ilya's obviously had good matches, and his stuff with Pete Dunne as well. I can't see a match with Ridge Holland looking that great between them, but
no,
I also really can't see them going with Andre Chase versus Trick Williams. And I love Andre Chase, but I can't see that being one of your PLE matches. Do we get a 3-way out of this? Maybe. Or has Chase U ran its course? Is that the end of Chase U?
You know, I don't think Chase U has run its course. It's definitely beaten me into submission of like now it's, I mean, lately with the stuff with Ridge, it's really dropped. But at one point, it was one of the most fun things to get behind this year. Like, think we went to Stand and Deliver, which was in Philly. I wasn't a really big fan of that show, but I remember being there and being like, oh, Chase U is over, because I feel like at these shows, not everyone goes to these things knowing the characters, but people were invested in seeing him. And the same with Heatwave here in Toronto. Like, Chase U has definitely been like highlights of certain shows over the year to 2 years. So I don't want them to disband. And I think it would be a lot more fun for Andre Chase versus Trick. Like the match obviously would be better,
but you'd really want, if Andre Chase is going for his first NXT title, you want him against a heel. You want to root for him. You don't want to root against Trick. You know, you can have those real great, like, you know, underdog reactions for him. Whereas I don't think you'd get that against Trick Williams. So it's kind of weird. I'm interested to see where they go, because it does have big implications to it. But
so like what are we going to leave the memories alone for Chase U? We can't. What about Thea? What about Ridge's daughter?
My daughter.
What about Duke? What about Riley? What about all the other students that we don't really see anymore? What are we?
Bodie.
Maybe, like, what is Bodie, bless him. What is Duke gonna do? Go back to being a poker player? Him and Andre can have a gambling gimmick together. Like, what Thea gonna do? What are all these people gonna do if we don't have Chase U? That I don't want to live in a world where we don't have Chase U.
Right.
But yeah. I don't really want to see Ridge versus Trick, so I'm going to cheer for Andre, but I don't know if that's the direction they would go either. So this is quite a pickle that we're in.
We see Jade Parker. It's a bit of like a video promo. She says, I see you, Soul. You qualified, but whoever they put in front of me, I'll qualify. And it doesn't matter if I start in the middle or finish the Iron Survivor. Jade Parker will be the Iron Survivor. Clock it.
Now we're clocking it
because it's on lock and it's on site, right?
Right.
Got to have your head on swivel.
Yeah. I could see Jada being in the Iron Survivor as well. If they're not going the route we thought with having Zarya or Roxy in it, I think Jada's definitely been one who's improved. She had the shot against Roxy already, and she definitely stepped up, and she definitely stepped up last week at the ECW arena. So, yeah, I think she's a right pick for that.
We see Josh Briggs, who is in Ava's office with Yoshiki Inamura. And Josh is like, hey, remember when I went to Noah? This is my buddy. I brought him with me. He's in NXT now.
Noah. Yeah, hey, yeah. And we came over here on an arc. Yeah. It's kind of funny that they did that. Like, it's funny that, like, hey, remember me doing this?
I like that. It makes sense. Like, and this is where Eddie Thorpe comes in and says, look, Ava, I'm fed up of being blown off and brushed aside by you. I want to chat. And Ava goes, well, actually, I want to chat with you because I'm putting you in an Iron Survivor qualifying match next week. And Eddie's very happy and leaves the office. But I assume he's going to lose this match and he's going to continue to bug Ava and turn heel.
Yeah, he's becoming like a crybaby, essentially, kind of gimmick. I thought for a second she was just going to have him verse Inamura, possibly. But I imagine we see him wrestle fairly soon. Like, we didn't reference it last week. They didn't really talk about it on TV, but there was the social media stuff. So I'm wondering if we get to see him in like a bigger role. Like, will he be featured on TV a lot? Will he be wrestling? Will he be on the pay-per-view? Will he be in an Iron Survivor match? Like, who knows? Like, I don't know. I'm not too familiar. I haven't really watched a lot of Noah. We do definitely cherry pick here and there. I think we have some talked about, or at least watched some of his matches from like a year or so within that, but I'm not super familiar with him. But I think it's super cool that we're doing this. Like, what kind of world are we living in with Noah people showing up? And, you know, the way things are with wrestling right now is super cool. So I'm all for it as long as he's kick ass. Let's do it.
Yeah. And good to see Briggs again. I feel like we haven't seen Briggs for a while, and
true.
He's someone who I thought was really impressed a couple of times last year in the Iron Survivor and that 4-way match at Stand and Deliver. So I wouldn't mind seeing Briggs in the men's Iron Survivor again as well.
I mean, yeah, didn't he steal the show last year, or was it the year before that? I can't remember.
I think it was last year's. Yeah,
like he was really good in that, and he's kind of cooled off since being back from Noah. He hasn't really done anything. This is the first time we've seen him in a little while. So I think it'd be cool to kind of reheat him back up, because I'm always wondering about Briggs. Like he's bigger, he's really good at wrestling. Like what's kind of
like realistically, if we're at the point we're putting, Ridge Holland in the world title picture, there's no reason why you can't put Josh Briggs in there as well.
I think he works better as a babyface, but we'll see. Yeah.
We go to our next match. Nikkita Lyons. She roars her way to the ring while singing her song and taking on Adriana Rizzo.
Oh, she roars and she sings. Is that what she means by throat chakra?
Yes, her throat chakra was open tonight.
Got you. Oh, was it? Okay, got you. Yes.
She's taking on Adriana Rizzo. This obviously came from Nikkita being the one who attacked Rizzo a few weeks ago. Nikkita locks in a full Nelson and she's just ragdolling Rizzo, throwing her around all over the place. Hits the full Nelson slam, and then we saw her do this the other week, like a throw, but kind of twisting them as she throws them, so they sort of corkscrew. She then gets her on the apron and does these hip attacks to like the hip checks, very like the hypnotic, just repeated to the face of Rizzo. I think these look awful. I hate these butt attack moves. They just don't look good by anyone. There's then another full Nelson, and Rizzo powers back and counters with an arm drag. Rizzo fires up, goes for a suplex, but can't lift up Lyons. Hits a springboard forearm and then a Luthez press, and then climbs the top rope and does a Luthez off the top, but gets caught and gets thrown around by Nikkita again, who then delivers the Vader bomb for the win. And as Nikkita's celebrating and she's singing a song again, Rizzo grabs the crowbar and smacks her in the back of the head with it and says, "Now it's over, sweetheart."
It's over. That's what she was yelling. Yeah, I was kind of happy this was over. I don't think it is. Didn't really like this match. I think this was a low point on the show. Rizzo's been someone who's actually been quite impressive in the rare times we get to see her wrestle. We don't see her wrestle too much. We do see her featured with the family and stuff, but I think they've got something with Rizzo. But Nikkita coming back from injury kind of is like, hey, we have a lot going on with the women's division, and when you've been off for a while, like things have changed like drastically in NXT. And I'm not saying there's like place for her, but since coming back so far, not been in, like they turned her heel with this like edge and everything. I'm not really feeling it. And then she had a nice full Nelson slam. Shout out Bob Hawley. I love seeing a nice full Nelson slam and thought that was good. But everything else in this match, just, I don't know. It felt kind of all over the place. This match was pretty rough. So I'm not sure if we're going to continue this feud. I guess it will, but we will probably have to see this again.
Yeah, I really didn't like this. Rizzo, we haven't seen a great deal with, and unfortunately, she was here just to be a ragdoll, really. Nikkita, she's come back from like two knee injuries, and I think the thing, you look at the women's roster, and they are lacking on your sort of monsters in the women's division. Obviously, we've got Nia Jax and we've got Raquel and Piper Niven on the main roster. NXT, we really don't have anyone right now, apart from Nikkita, I would say, who could potentially fill that role. But if you want her to, she wrestled this way more like a monster than we've seen her before. She didn't do any of her kicks we've seen her do in the past. And maybe that's because of her knees. Maybe if she needs to have longevity, like she can't do some of that stuff. But it just made her offense really boring. And I feel like in the men's division especially, we've moved on from just boring, lumbering monsters. Like as much as like Ridge Holland doesn't really do it for us, he's more than, say, your monsters of the past. He can do some pretty cool stuff. You look at Obafemi, who's doing crazy stuff, and it's just full Nelson and Vader bombs. It's just so boring to watch. And Rizzo didn't get a chance to shine. I find the catchphrases just really cheesy with Nikkita as well. She just doesn't connect with me at all. And I thought this match was pretty awful, to be honest.
I don't want to put it in the air, but it comes to mind as one of my like least favorite matches watching NXT this year. It wasn't great. It wasn't pretty. That's what it was. Which then got my mind thinking, wait, what is my least favorite match this year? What was the worst match this year? It's November now, Davey. Year end coming soon.
Don't put that stress on me.
This is where I'm going to ask everybody. You don't have to, but you can at the Brady. What's the worst match this year? So that when I see Davey next, we watch it.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's like, again, you're right. Rizzo didn't get to see a lot in here. Nikkita, I'm not writing her off just yet, but this wasn't good.
We go backstage to Chase U, and the students are like, "Yo, Andre, what the fuck? You put us on the line again?" And Andre says, "Look, I saw Duke become MVP. I saw Thea grow from being a girl to a woman. I saw Riley soar to be one of the best high flyers. I've never had a shot at the NXT title, and I'm going to be taking Chase U to the highest of highs." And he leaves, and Duke says, "Or the lowest of lows." And Riley just can't believe he's gambling with our futures again. I feel for them, because this is like at least the third time Chase has just, he's sold the school, he lost the school, I'd start being a bit like, we need to take this guy to rehab.
Yeah, this is exactly like, it's very, again, attention to details. Like this guy, first chance he gets, he's like, I'll put the school up. It's like, dude, like, man, you have a problem. We need to address this. And I guess that's them saying like, hey, why didn't you ask us this first? You have an addiction. You have a problem. If you're going to gamble responsible. Know your limit. Yeah. Play within
always it. Gamble responsibly. Yes. Yeah. We have a video for Zarya, who says, "Some call me a mystery, but where I'm from, there's no mystery. I'm here to devastate and cause destruction." And says she'll be the Iron Survivor. So I guess Zarya's not going to challenge Roxanne. Will be in this match.
Yeah.
She says she enjoys creating chaos. She thrives in carnage. And after NXT deadline, there will be no mystery.
Yeah, I love this already. Like this character, this wrestler. I wasn't super familiar with her before WWE, but I keep hearing all the like, oh, you gotta see, wait till she gets to WWE, and it's like, okay, cool. And then Delta, now Zarya, like so far, I'm like, wow, this is great. She kind of has like the face paint, so I don't want to like compare to like Ultimate Warrior, but she comes in all mega jacked with face paint, looking scary, and so far has pinned the champion. I'm like, yo, like so far looking good. Like she was in there wrestling with Jordan Grace and everything. Like it was really clicking. So so far, like this is already a like superstar here for me in NXT. So the way they're presenting her, she wasn't featured on TV, so this is the only thing we did get to see from her. But it did make me wonder. Zarya, also from Australia, also wears face paint, also very big and buff and scary. What's in that Australian water over there? These women Australian wrestlers. First Rhea Ripley, and now Zarya. Like, I mean, eventually, we're talking down the line. When those two lock up, we're gonna have a big Australia PLE on our hands, and you'd think these two were the ones main eventing it. But so first impressions definitely matter in wrestling, and I think they're treating the stars they really want to be careful with. And so far, I'm like, yo, this one's really entertaining.
Yeah, I'm starting to think Roxanne might not even be defending on this show, because I don't think Lyra defended last year the women's title.
Which
so
again,
it
which
could be
sucks.
we just get this match. Yeah,
just put her in the match.
Yeah. We then go to Javon Evans versus Lexis King, and the start of this match is all Javon trying all his high-speed flying moves, and King is just going for different pin attempts, kind of going more to his style he was doing in the rounds match last week. Last week. At one point, Javon goes for a leapfrog, but King runs into it, headbutting Javon in the dick, and but refuses to capitalize on the low blow, and he's looking guilty AF as we go to commercial break.
You had the crowd chanting, "That's not legal," and he's like, "No, I didn't.
I'm sorry.
I think this was pretty funny." So, like, the story going is he's, Brian Pillman's kid. He's been a dickhead here in NXT, and now he's turned over a new leaf, but he just can't help it. He has a match. William Regal's in his corner and tries to give him brass knucks. Here he is in a match. He accidentally headbutts a guy in the dick. He's like, "Man, I swear
we've all been there, guys. We've all just accidentally headbutt someone in the dick before." Yeah.
I think it's funny of like, this would be this guy is bouncy. It's his thing. He's jumping all around. Accidents do happen. I think it's pretty funny that they weaseled this into this story. Like, at first I'm like, oh, that was awkward. But then right away I was like, oh, wait a second. That was done purposely. Yeah. I think that's pretty funny. And when the crowd reacted the way they wanted them to react. So, pretty funny there. Like, oh man, I swear I'm not a heel. I just accidentally hit you in the balls.
So after the break, we see Javon, who hits this like kip up stunner, which looked pretty cool.
Crazy.
Goes for a springboard crossbody for a 2 count. Goes for a moonsault, but lands on his feet and gets super kicked by King for a 2 count. Javon then goes up top and does his 5-star frog splash. King comes back with a backstabber and this like package driver, what the made in Japan kind of move here.
Made in Cincy.
Runs right into a super kick, and then Javon hits his triple jump corkscrew senton for the win. And Javon advances, and after the match, he goes to shake King's hand, and King's all upset, but he does shake the hand.
Yeah, a pretty fun match. Like I've said before, Javon Evans is one of my favorite guys to watch, full stop, in wrestling right now. Like, 20-year-old, and he's having matches like this already is insane. And to see, I can't wait to see where he goes in the next few years, but become one of my favorites to watch. And he's even pulling out good matches out of Lexis King, who's had quite of a little run lately. Like, I think his NXT run, he came in as the heel with the facial hair, and he was really good at getting the heel heat and getting that character over, but the wrestling has always been his problem. When he's turned babyface, now he feels like he's like flipped the switch, where he's like actually doing wrestling moves and actually having matches. And there's not just like stomp, kick, and stalling and stuff like that. So I think he's like really improving. Obviously, it helps when you're wrestling guys, like when he's being a base for someone like Javon. But I think Lexis has had like a string of some good matches lately. Like, I think, was it last week or the week before, or a few weeks ago, when we're like, hey, was this the best Lexis King match? Like, I think we kind of say that every time he wrestles now, because I think this could have been, one of his better matches. So I think it's working. The whole, like, is he a bad guy? Is he not? I think we'll have to see him and kind of let it play out. But clearly the right guy won here with the triple jump corkscrew senton, which I'm sure we're going to see some crazy things in this Iron Survivor. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, I don't think I like this quite as much as his match with Dempsey the other week.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. I do think we're probably building to King getting fed up of all these losses and eventually turning heel again. But I'd like to see a different version of the heel next time. And it's been whereas you'll have a Bron Breakker who they like cheekily allude to who his dad. I mean, Rick was on it, but same with Dempsey, whereas they won't completely acknowledge that William Regal's his dad, but they hinted it. Whereas during commentary on this, they were talking about Brian Pillman and he doesn't want to be like his father, Flying Brian, and do the cheating and that. So I wonder if this is building to a name change as well, where he does accept that he's his father's son. he cheats and he becomes Brian Pillman Jr.
That's pretty smart, because think of when he first came in, right? When he first came into NXT with the name change, of course, we're used to NXT hitting the randomizer and giving you a weird name, but the gimmick was
Lexis King is named after his stepdad.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Remember, like, so his promos were all like, no, I don't want to be like my dad. My dad wasn't there for me, etc. And then he brought up his stepdad and all this kind of stuff. So it would be warranted for this to kind of happen. Like, no, maybe, you know what? I need to be like exactly like my dad. And maybe we see him do some crazy antics. Maybe he pulls a gun out on
I was going to say he drags
yeah.
Javon into his home. And
who knows what could happen with the loose cannon flying Brian Jr.
Yeah,
we'll see.
So we see Fraser and Axiom backstage, and Fraser tells Axiom that he's got an Iron Survivor qualifying match next week, and Axiom's pissed off about it. He's like, look, we've got all these shitty tag teams who are after us right now. We need to focus on them.
He pretty much says it.
And Fraser goes, well, I knew you been in an Iron Survivor before, so I thought I could ask you for tips and how to do it. And Axiom's just mad, and Fraser walks off when OTM show up and start stirring the pot, saying your tag team partner's going for singles gold now. And that's where Stax and Crucifino come in and get in each other's faces, and there's more bickering. Just
and then they start to fight, and then that kind of sets the tone for we see fighting all through the rest of the main event and after the show kind of ends. But I'm kind of loving this thing with Fraser and Axiom, really. Like, they are my favorite tag team this year in wrestling. Like, full stop. They've had the best matches, and it's so cliche and easy for do they get along? Do they coexist? But having Fraser be such a like cheeky little cunt, just like, oh, I got this match. Like, we've seen him do this stuff quite often. I think he does it really well. I think like he makes me as a viewer like, wait, I love you two together and you're the champions. You should be worried about tag teams and this and that. And then him being like, oh yeah, I did this. Oh yeah, I'm the speed champion. Oh yeah, I'm qualifying for this. So I think it works in one of the rare occurrences where like the tag team that did, I think I referenced like Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit. I think they were both heels though when they were tag champions and tag teaming. It's like they kind of don't get along, but when they do, like they tap in and they lock in and they get to this next level. So part of me wanted Axiom to leave this segment, and then when they came back from break, leaving Ava's office and being like, oh yeah, you qualified for a match, guess who your opponent is.
That's where I thought it was going, and maybe it will go that way. Like I like that
one-on-one.
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
Like, Fraxium should defend at the pay-per-view because there's only going to be a few matches on that show, and we should have the tag titles. But Nathan Fraser and Axiom both being in this match would highly elevate this match too. Considering Javon and Wes are already in it, though, I don't see both of them or either of them really being in it. But I think it would make for an interesting match having them face. We've seen them face each other before, but now, like as being champions and stuff, I think
I mean, you could have one of them do double duty, or even both of them do double duty, and that's why they finally lose the tag titles, is because they're split and they're both going for the.
I love that idea, and I think that's such a great hook to have. And then in the last second, they still win it, because that's what makes it even like makes Nathan Fraser even like cheekier. Is this little fucking guy? He keeps getting away with it. Yeah, they keep winning and they keep getting it. So, I'm really loving these two, and I would never split them up because I think this exact act.
They're better with each other. Yeah,
they're so working. Better like with each other. Without each other, it's Nathan Fraser and then is a Power Ranger. But together, it's like, hey, I think they work really well. And again, like some of my favorite stuff this year, tag team wrestling has been because of these two. So, we'll see what happens. But I think it would be pretty cool to have them face each other next week. But I don't know if that's where we're going.
We see Dion Lennox and Ashanti the Adonis chatting, and Ashanti thanks him and calls him his boy. And Dion's like, oh, we're boys now. And Ashanti basically said, look, she can't know. So alluding to the fact that, all right, you kind of helped me get the girl jealous there and get us paired together and whatever. So.
Oh, interesting. So
hopefully we don't see Carmen on her iPad next week watching last week's show, which we often happen. We often have in NXT.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Hopefully she was watching the show and understands something's going on. Yeah, this storyline's silly, but I'm in.
You love it. We see Lexis, who's all upset about another loss, and Hank and Tank try to cheer him up when the Gallus boys come in, and guess what they do? They bicker. Dante Chen is just stood there as well. So.
He got a pop when the crowd could see him. The crowd just like woke up for some reason. Definitely wasn't for Gallus, but
part of me made me think. I thought they were going to go somewhere where maybe Chen and King team up because they have history, and maybe they could be a tag team going for this thing.
That's still a potential. Yeah, I could see that. He didn't want to be his cornerman though. Remember?
That's right.
So, no one wanted to be his cornerman.
No. He should offer to join the Bloodline because they need someone right now. Yeah.
Ooh, Lexis King?
Well, Lexis King can't find a cornerman and the Bloodline can't find a fifth man. So just
No, this is NXT. We don't have the only Bloodline we have is Gallus.
Got Ava.
True. Yeah, we got
the Bloodline's running the show, Braden.
yeah, exactly. The strings are always being pulled by the final boss. Yeah, this tag division is weak here with like all these guys. Oh, Gallus is like, man, like they've been in NXT for a while. These guys should either be put on main roster. Like I don't know what the like. You've tried to heat them up a few times now.
They disappear and then they just stand there with their arms folded and you're like, oh yeah, Gallus. And it doesn't help that one of them just looks really like our mate Sean as well.
Yeah, like I don't dislike Gallus, but it's like, what are we doing with them kind of things? Like I feel like they'd be better off not in WWE. I feel like they'd be like, running shit in some indie stuff and other places, but I don't know.
Not running. Young veterans are doing so well right now.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe they made a mistake. Maybe they were like, "Ooh, we left it like the fucking worst possible time because now we don't have any tag teams." And you know who would be really great against Fraxium?
GYV.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, but they weren't called that. They were the Schism. So
Schism. Yeah. It's better than being on ROH.
Yeah. But maybe they'll get to be at the Hammerstein. Maybe.
Great.
Probably not.
We go to the NXT Women's North American Championship match. Fallon Henley defending against Kelani Jordan in our main event. Really fast pace to start this match up and slows down when Fallon just chops Kelani across the chest and they get in each other's face. Kelani really showing off her speed here, does a head scissors and a drop kick, sending Fallon to the outside. And then Kelani hits a moonsault on the floor where it looks like she just takes out Fallon with her feet here on the landing.
Yeah. Kelani is doing the Charlotte moonsault, which I'm not a fan of. I think is the worst moonsault because you don't actually look like you hit anybody. You're just doing a backflip. But in this case, it was nearly a botch where her foot almost like
just
kicked Fallon like right in the face. I think Kalani's really good, but no one rates Charlotte's moonsault, and I think that's like she should tweak it just how I'm sure it's a lot safer the way you land it, but like it just doesn't look like it actually hits the person whatsoever.
After the break, we see in picture the tag team division fighting backstage. We get a Rolling Thunder shooting star from Kelani, which to me just didn't make sense because I feel the Rolling Thunder, it's like the forward roll builds your momentum for the front flip, whereas this you're doing a forward roll into a back flip, so your momentum's like reversing.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, I actually went to look for this when the show ended. I quickly had to like rewatch it because maybe the Rolling Thunder, the stoner in me, I was like, oh, wait a second. Why did she do that? So I had to make sure So she forward flips and then flips. So it is like your momentum.
You
really
kind of have
wasn't-
to stop. Whereas the rolling thunder,
Yeah.
it's almost like you're doing you just keep rolling, right?
So like
So-
what would make more sense is to hit a rolling thunder, and then when you land on your feet, you get up right away and hit a moonsault.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that like make more
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then you want to get crazy. You do a standing star right after that.
Yeah.
Boom.
And then a double moon, and then
Yeah. Destroyers.
She then goes for the one-of-a-kind split-legged moonsault, but this gets blocked. Fallon comes back with a blockbuster, and then they're fighting on the top, and Jordan hits the Spanish fly for a 2 count, or as Vic called it, the Phoenix Splash.
Yeah, I was a little confused at that. Vic, it's rare when Vic misnames a move, but yeah, it happens, I'm sure.
We then get the one-of-a-kind moonsault hit, and JC puts Fallon's foot on the ropes to break the pin. And Kelani baseball slides her out the way, drags Jasmine Nix into the ring and super kicks her, and then rolls Fallon up for a 2, who pushes her into a forearm from JC. The referee doesn't see it, and then Fallon Henley hits the Famouser for the win.
How great is it that a Famouser is a finisher again?
Yeah.
2024 in pro wrestling. Oh, who doesn't love a Famouser, right? Is it the fatal Famouser? That's what she should be calling this one. The fatal or fatal sir. I don't know about that. Okay, so I love Kelani too. Like the whole RVD kind of standout. She does a lot of his moves is really cool. But I have to shout out Fallon Henley being like, "Oh, you like to do RVD moves? Okay, hold my beer." Because Fallon Henley perfectly executing the RVD leg trip pin roll.
Oh
move.
yeah.
And, like. I think she did this move better than RVD ever did this move. This move was so snug. This is like, you know how Darby has his like pinning finisher thing, the Last Supper? This should be saved for like special like sneak attack pins because she did it so clean. I know this move because back in the day in the video games, I always used to give this to my creator wrestlers. Like the RVD uses his legs to pin them. It's very impressive. So I thought this was good. I thought this match was pretty good. This was easily my match of the night for this show, where Fallon, like being the heel, even coming out now with her Fatal Influence music with the group, not just her, cowboy music. But I thought both of them have like great chemistry. It didn't maybe get to the level that I think it could have because we had the commercial break and the timing and everything, and then the Fatal Influence. That I wouldn't be mad if we go to this again at the PLE, but like have the stipulation where like they're not allowed to be ringside or
Shark Cage
or a cage match or like a 2 out of 3 falls or something like the next kind of step, because I do like these two together. I do like Kelani, but Fallon is like one of my favorite to watch as well. So I thought this was pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. I think you can definitely do this match again at the PLE. I liked it. I really like both these two. I think just the right from the get-go, just the pace of this match felt so much quicker than anything else on the show. And for being so new to it in Kelani but like, working at this pace, but smoothly and pretty flawlessly a lot of the time. I think it's really impressive. Ultraman in the chat says, I think Fatal Influence is a decent act. I'm looking forward to their run. And I agree. Like, I think when the time comes, I'd move these 3 up together. I think JC and Fallon are more than ready to be on the main roster. Jasmine Nix could definitely use some more time in NXT, but I think the whole package looks really good. Like Fallon coming out with that big fur, like cow print coat and the cowboy hat looks awesome. And I think this act could really work. And I think it's so much better than Toxic Attraction ever was, which Toxic Attraction was just, we're hot, and couldn't really wrestle that well either. Whereas I think JC and Fallon's wrestling is pretty decent. And the reason why they're pissed off makes sense is, we've seen all these non-wrestlers coming in when we were busting our ass for years, and these people that just think because they did gymnastics, they can be a wrestler. And taking a protege under their wing. I think the whole act makes way more sense. It's a similar formula, you know, we're bitchy and we look nice, but it works a lot more. Yeah, I definitely like to see them have their day on the main roster.
It's funny because it's like Jasmine Nix is the footy player who they've like taken under. But you know what? I think she's been at least like hidden well in matches. I think she's showed like she's pretty decent as well. But like clearly Fallon and JC have been doing this for a lot longer. And Fallon clearly is the rightful like leader of this group. Like Fatal Influence is leagues like past Toxic Attraction. I can't name one match during Mandy Rose's reign or anything involving Toxic Attraction that was actually good or like anything I'd actually rate. Whereas like Fallon like is really good. You could put Fallon on the main roster already and she'd have better matches like with certain people. So JC and Fallon are definitely ready. Nix could use the time. I think as a whole unit or a tag team, whatever it may be, it will happen. I think Fallon is definitely like the star of this group. But I like this match. I thought it was the highlight of this show. The women yet again main eventing on NXT, showcasing the stacked roster that we have here on NXT. It shows women last week were a draw, beating AEW. Maybe they needed some more women's matches on the show. I'm not sure, but seeing how much they really treat this women's roster right now is like, I think really working for them. So I didn't like this week's episode as much as last week's, but I know we're going towards deadline with these Iron Survivor matches, which we know have been a hit, which have been like very entertaining. So I didn't necessarily like this episode of NXT, but it's leading into some better things. So I can give it a pass.
Yeah. After the match, we see OTM come out and they grab the mic and they say that they're going to be the next tag champions, and all the tag teams just spill out and they're brawling around ringside as NXT goes off the air. But yeah, I kind of felt the same as you. I enjoyed the main event. I didn't love this episode. It's interesting seeing the directions going to deadline. But I think this week's made me these repeated, just uninteresting tag team segments made me realize how weak that division is. And hopefully this is more like just a mission statement on this show of just like, hey, we're aware and we need to focus on this bit of it a bit more, because women's division's awesome right now. And that's been the real strength of NXT these last, well, for a while, but really put in focus these last few weeks.
Yeah, we're in a weird state with like Trick, like they've done a good job of creating this like star with him, but I feel like maybe we don't have other like opponents or things lined up where we're not sure. So I'm not sure who would even win, like kind of fantasy booking. We know Wes and Javon are both in this match, Iron Survivor. Like, do we add Ethan Page? Do we add Ridge if he's not in this? Do we add Chase if he's not the one who wins this? Like, do we add a few other people? But I still don't know what the outcome would be. Like, is it Javon versus Trick? That's something we're going to. Is it Wes? But Wes going for the title as a heel just seems so wrong still. So I'm not really feeling
I think Wes and Javon are your two.
Yeah. Again, Javon in such a short time being here has already like elevated himself as one of the key characters in that like main event scene, at least I'd say. So whereas the women's is like there's so much going on there. It's like any of those, like Roxanne could have opponents lined up for the next 6 pay-per-views, where it's like Trick, we can't really place what the story is for that mains title. And then the tag division is such a mess. I did not like the way the episode ended with just like, oh, these random it's the lawyer and the gangster guys all fighting because Ava said the tag division needs to step it up. It's just like, what is this, WCW? I didn't like that. So but again, looking forward to where we're going, so I'm okay with that.
All right, well, that's what we thought. We always throw up a feedback thread on our Facebook group, so go give us a follow. If you search Poison Rana, you'll find the page. That'll lead us to our group, and you can leave fun things like feedback.
Yeah, search Poison Rana in Facebook and join the group. We go to Fire Frank, who writes in here, chat's fire. Fun show with the women's division getting the biggest spotlight. Enjoyed everything but one match that I'm sure you've already dissected enough. The Iron Survivor matches are already looking stacked. Lots of stories got furthered and focused on as well. I'm sure Fraxime is just fine. Gonna root hard for Mr. Chase next week, as I'm not emotionally prepared for the end of Chase U as we know it. P.S. Booker was on one more than usual all night. Oh, yes, I didn't mention that. But, yeah, I guess, I'll just give an obligatory. Booker was on one tonight because he just really loves the, if you're watching NXT and you're like, wow, I really love this women's division. Trust me, you don't love it as much as Booker T does.
And we go to Magan, who says, sticking to the winning formula of the women's roster, bookending the show, NXT was worthwhile coming out of their trip to Philly. The opening tag match was very strong, and the main event had another distraction finish. I'm getting sick of those. Andre Chase lost more than he won during his run in Florida, and personally, I want to see him come up big against Ridge Holland. Andre v. Trick is a more appealing match than Ridge. I bet Giulia and Steph make the cut for Iron Survivor. Yeah, I mean, we kind of said it. Isn't Andre Chase versus Trick, even though it's kind of weird, and both baby faces where clearly people would cheer for Chase over Trick? That sounds more interesting. So hopefully that's where we go with that. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Frank, for writing in. And everyone out there in the YouTube chat or listening via podcast, we appreciate you listening to Up Next. And we do this every Tuesday. We will be back next Tuesday as we chat all about some more Iron Survivor qualifying matches, etc., etc. So join us 10:05 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday night. And then join us this Sunday. Are we going to go live at 2? Because we're going to some wrestling. 2, can't we?
We're we haven't asked him, but this I'll try to get Benno on because he's here. So we got to do a show with him while he's in town. So we'll definitely try to get Benno on from Grapple to do a show with us, and then we're gonna watch some wrestling. So follow all the socials, like we said, Poisonrana.ca for links for everything that we do, all the podcasts. Patreon.com/Poisonrana is where you can check out all the other shows. Become a friend for $5, and chop-tees.com/Poisonrana for all the stuff of Lucha Frog of Doom. Thank you, anyone who's bought some stuff already. Keep sending your pictures in, and we want to share them on all the socials and stuff. But we got a few people in the Poisonrana chat sharing the hoodies and the toques and the hats and everything. So I want to say appreciate all the love and everyone wearing all the frog merch. I like it a lot. I love to see it. So thanks everyone out there for listening, and you can follow myself, Braden Herrington. I am at the Brady.
And you can find me at Davie Portman.
That's it. That's all. Take care. Goodbye. Be safe and keep it locked.
Clock on. Ahoy!